Hey y'all, before we get started, I just want to say I have new neighbors above me for the first time in months, and they're particularly loud. It sounds like they're rollerblading up there. Really don't know what's going on. I hope the mic doesn't catch it, but if it does, if you hear like rolling or some bullshit happening, it's because, as we all know, upstairs neighbors are the worst. So stick with me till the end. Having watched literally hundreds and hundreds of movies in my lifetime, like anything else, things can become stale, repetitive, and predictable, especially in the horror genre. So when a scary movie comes out with great performances, an awesome narrative, and a unique twist, us horror geeks get all riled up and we can't help but to talk about it. Luckily, that's why I created this channel. And on this very occasion today, I get to tell you all about the 2024 French zombie horror flick, MadS. The first part of today's video will be spoil-free, where we'll cover the basics like we usually do: director, writer, box office budget, actors, blah, blah, blah. And the second half, we'll dive a little bit deeper into the flick for those that have either already seen it or like to throw caution to wind and say, fuck it, just tell me what happens. Written and directed by David Moreau, who also directed 2008's The Eye with Jessica Alba, and another movie I'm not familiar with called Them in 2006. David is the son of another French director named Jean-Luc Moreau. It seems like he's had some time to perfect his skills, because from what I remember of The Eye, it wasn't all that great of a movie. But it was 16 years ago, so take that as you will. But in this flick, well, if you paid attention to my opening, stay to the end. Starring, and apologies to these French actors, because I'm about to butcher your names, Lucille Guillaume. It can't be that.
No Jay Quellen here? Yeah.
Do you mean Jacqueline?
Okay, so that's how it's gonna be.
Lucille Guillermo, Lucille Guillemette as Julia, Milton Ritchie as Romaine, and my favorite of the three, Lori Pavi as Anis. All three did a fantastic job and gave stellar performances, but in my humble opinion, Lori went above and beyond. The flick is rather new and was released in October, but so far it has ratings of a 93% on Rotten Tomatoes tomato meter and a 76% on their popcorn meter. IMDb gives it a 6.5 out of 10, Metacritic gives it a 78 out of 100, and Letterboxd gives it a 3.5 out of 5. If we convert and average those suckers together, we get an admirable 76% or 7.6 out of 10 or 3.8 out of 5. This being a French film, I'm not entirely sure if I have the correct numbers concerning their box office, but so far, as it's only been released in October, I've only seen that it's gained $32,000, which is totes not a lot. Hey buddy, which is totes not a lot. What's up? You want to say hi? All right, be quiet. However, it was also only a limited release in the US and is already streaming on the horror service Shudder. Hashtag not a sponsor. Again, just call me. Email, comment. Let's do something, Shudder. You're legit like my favorite streaming service. I hope it makes more than that, because again, this movie, well, I feel it. Again, this movie, well, bro. Your co-star, the cat, being a little whiny baby boy. Why are you being a whiny baby boy? Are they upsetting you too, the new neighbors? Yeah. Surely they can construct apartment buildings. I don't know. Surely they construct apartment buildings in such a way where, I don't know, the layouts are like where their living room would be in the closet and bathroom or something like that. You know what I mean? It's just annoying. Anyways, again, this French flick is of the zombie variety, which I think we can all agree the zombie movie itself is something of a trope now, right? I mean, arguably one of the first, if not the first, horror movie was 1968's Night of the Living Dead. And before everyone gets all up in my butt about it, yes, I know, technically horror movies have been around since the 1890s. And then, of course, you have the classics like Frankenstein, Dracula, the Wolfman, etc. But as far as modern horror flicks, in my view, it all started with 1968's Night of the Living Dead.
They're coming to get you, Barbara.
Stop it! You're ignorant.
And since then, the zombie trope has flourished and multiplied about as fast as a zombie outbreak would. To be clear, Night of the Living Dead wasn't the first zombie flick. That is 1932's White Zombie. But Night of the Living Dead was the first zombie movie to depict them as reanimated cannibalistic cadavers. After that, we get Shockwaves, which is a zombie Nazi movie that a friend told me I need to check out from the 70s, and I intend to check that out because it sounds amazing. As well as Dawn of the Dead, Alien Dead, City of the Living Dead, Return of the Living Dead, The Serpent and the Rainbow. I mean, it goes on and on and on to The Walking Dead, etc. The zombie theme seems to be way overdone. So when a movie like this comes around, I think it's important to take a step back and talk about it. So here we go. Before I get into spoilers, I can tell you one thing that makes this film unique from other zombie flicks. This film, like the movie Birdman, is one of those movies that's filmed in one continuous shot, meaning it doesn't cut to any scenes and we actually see the entire film play out in real life. I find that so interesting, and I can't recall any horror movie, especially any zombie movie, that does that. For those that don't want any spoilers, I'd say stop watching now, then go watch the movie, come back, finish this vid, and tell me what you liked, what you agree with, etc. Okay, spoilers start now. The second unique trait about this film is a kind of piggyback on number one, since the film is filmed in one continuous real-time shot. What we get in this zombie movie is a POV experience from that of the very zombies themselves, which I think is so cool. Never had we had such an experience for those responsible for the larger outbreak before. It reminded me of the movie In a Violent Nature, and if you haven't seen that flick, I think it's worth a watch simply for the fact that it is filmed from the killer's perspective. It's kind of a POV of the cliche Jason Voorhees, Michael Myers killer, but it's cool how they do it. It's shot through his eyes and his eyes only. It's not a spectacular film, but I think just watching it for that reason is kind of worth it alone. But this movie does that. It's through the zombies, or at least the people that are catching the virus, through their eyes. And I think that's just such a unique thing. It leads to the third thing that I find so unique about this movie. So just as number two piggybacks on number one, number three piggybacks on number two, as again, this is the first time we're led through a zombie movie. So we get to witness the zombie outbreak itself instead of starting the movie like most do, where it's already happened, or at least it's just starting to ramp up. This actually takes you from patient 0 and how it spreads to patient 1, 2, and later on 3. And we even hear from the recorder at the beginning of the movie how the virus began in the first place and how it got to patient 0. What ensues is the entire French suburb area eventually being engulfed in this zombie apocalypse, which I just think is stellar and again so unique to witness the beginning stages all through like mass pandemonium. So it starts like patient 0, spreads it to Romaine, who is messing around with Julia and Anais. Her name is Anais, and she's called Anna in the film, but I think that name is Anais. So I'll just call her Anna. But he's messing around with Anna and Julia, who the movie leaves ambiguous as to whether she caught the virus or not. I personally think she did, and I'll tell you why later. But what's more, we get to see them change and transition into the zombie, which takes a lot slower in this film, which I think is cool. Instead of them just getting bit and then 10 seconds later, they're a ravenous zombie, we see that they actually go through stages in this film. I also found the type of zombies they were pretty unique. Historically, zombies started off slow and brain dead and only searching for human flesh, right? Their power laid in their enormous numbers rather than their intellect, strength, or speed. Zombies, of course, have evolved in film over recent decades as more and more they're depicted as like super fast, but still, most are all brain dead or at least only ruled in a hive-minded type of way. The zombies in this flick, they're not just super fast, like where Anna has to be running 40 miles an hour to catch up with Julia on the moped, which was an incredible creepy shot and one of my favorite of the film. But Anna is also screaming and mocking Julia while doing so, something that zombies historically, fast or slow, just do not do. Now, this could be because Anna is still changing, transitioning, and hasn't gone into full form zombie mode yet, but that's still pretty cool, as most zombies, again, in series change instantaneously. This one takes a while, possibly like up to an hour, maybe more to change, and there's, again, a whole transitional phase they have to go through. So this is true with Romaine, but especially true with Anna, as can be seen when she's like attacking people and screaming at them. But then all of a sudden changes back and is like, I'm sorry, it's not me, and runs away. There's a lot of jerking and twitching in this movie and a kind of hissing growling that the zombies do while they're transitioning, which I'd normally point out as a little cliche, but the way it's done in this movie, I think is just very cool and only leads you along the transition a little bit more, helps you understand the metamorphosis that they're going through. Again, this is all one continuous shot, so essentially what we're seeing is these characters go through a real hour and a half worth of their lives, and then that 90 minutes is just crazy how much happens that you can actually see how a society could break down in such a short amount of time. From patient zero to breaking out of whatever testing facility she was in, to infecting Romaine, to him going home, to the party, to affecting Anna, who eventually affects Julia, I just think is very interesting. And it's cool how the POVs shift in that respect as well. The viruses pass through blood. Later, one government official even says, if you haven't ingested any of their blood, you'll be okay. So when Romaine is bleeding from his lip and he goes downstairs in the party, and then Anna sees him, kisses him, and then bites his lip because she's mad that him and Julia were messing around, I think that's when she gets infected. Julia gets infected later on when she picks Anna up, and Anna just literally, she's going nuts on the back of that moped. It smears her face with blood, puts her hand that's just covered in her own blood in Julia's mouth. She had to ingest some of that, and that's why I think she's infected by the end of the movie. Anyways, I don't want to give a play-by-play of the movie. I just want to go over a couple more things that the movie did that I thought were pretty cool. One, some of the music, one score in particularly that's played when Romaine and Anna are transitioning, is eerily close to the In the House in a Heartbeat theme used in the 28 Days franchise. For my horror movie zombie aficionados, you know exactly what that one is. It's one of the coolest scores in horror cinema.
Dawn! Help us!
Any fan of that franchise knows what I'm talking about. In fact, that score was so cool. One of my previous bands would actually use it as our intro while we were all like getting on stage, getting our instruments. And of course, the singer, I come out later in the end, it would lead us into our first song. Man, I used to be cool. But anyways, I think one of the scores in this movie is so close to that one that it has to be a nod to and an appreciation for by Nathaniel Malachi, I believe is how his name is pronounced. Macaulay. To John Murphy, who was the original writer and composer of that score in 28 Days. Also, for those that didn't know, 25 Years Later is coming out in 2025, and I am stoked. Fly.
Corporate needs you to find the differences between this picture and this picture. They're the same picture.
Also, what's cool about the zombies in this flick, the way that they're powered or the way that they're like amped up by the photons that light gives off, they're attracted to them. And if they look at them for long term, they get that extra boost of adrenaline throughout their bodies and it makes them faster and stronger. I think that's pretty unique and kind of pretty cool. I need to come up with some different ways to say stuff, huh? I just think it's pretty cool. It's all pretty cool. Yeah, we went out, gave 110%. I just think, gave 110%.
Well, you go out there and you give 110% and you want to play good and, you hope you play good. I think we play pretty good tonight.
There's a scene towards the end of the movie that reminds me of two other shots in Night of the Living Dead. I don't know, it's very similar to me, so in my mind, I feel like it's an homage to. I totally could be reaching here, so y'all let me know, but in Night of the Living Dead, when the woman first enters the house and finds the corpse on the staircase, which is like one of the most iconic horror shots. That corpse looks very similar to this other corpse. Okay, so keep that corpse in mind. And then there's the other shot in Night of the Living Dead that is of the little girl hovering over and eating her dad after he dies. Reminds me of the scene at the end when Anna is eating Julia's mom. She's kind of hovered over her, and then also that corpse looks just like the one from the stairs. I don't know, I could be reaching there. That's how my mind works. As soon as I saw it, I was like, that's Night of the Living Dead. So I think it was a nod to that flick, but again, I could be wrong. I think the biggest question concerning this flick will be how much of it was real and how much of it was part of the bad trip the three were having.
Ignore this terrible drug. Yeah. Pretend it's not happening.
After all, I have no clue what substance they were taking with their nose at the beginning of the film. I think it's supposed to be like some kind of new thing that doesn't exist in reality, but it was like powdery and reddish, and I don't know. So I'm left wondering if ingesting as much of it as they did, Romaine, Anna, and Julia, had any kind of extra effect on them, maybe even speeding up their metabolism, increased the zombie-fiedness of their characters. It could also be why they were experiencing auditory and visual hallucinations as well. Was that because they were changing into zombies or because of the substance? Julia even herself calls Anna before she is infected and is like, Anna, I'm having a bad trip. I'm seeing scary stuff. Please come help.
Freaking out right now, man.
But also could be she's just seeing the real government agents come out and wiping people out, wiping zombies out, and she just thinks it's part of her bad trip. We don't really know. Because again, I don't think Julia was infected until Anna puts her bloody hand in her mouth. I can already see some people out there theorizing that it was actually just the drug and the entire thing the three are going through is a hallucination, including the government agents and everything. I personally don't think that's the case. I think there's too much going on that supports that inquiry, but some things throughout the film could be hallucinations. I mean, we do know that like when Romaine's talking to his dad and he hears his dad laugh maniacally and scary, I mean, that's not his dad. He's hearing things, obviously, because why would his dad do that? There's no reason for that. So I don't think it was all hallucination. I think that it was a legit zombie outbreak that was occurring. Anyways, all those things are reasons why I thought the movie was very unique and cool and gave it a new twist on the zombie subgenre. On to the real value of this flick. In my humble opinion, the real value of this movie is... It's a must-see. I kind of already alluded to it. You gotta see it. You gotta see it. If you have to watch In a Violent Nature, which, again, I didn't think was a great movie, but I think it's worth to watch just because it's through the point of view of the slasher, you gotta watch this movie because it's from the point of view of not one, not two, but three potential infected zombies. But I think it's cool. I think it's really worth a watch. A twist on the good old zombie horror trope. On the Scaredy Cal of this one, I give it a solid 3.5 out of 5 for its creepiness, in which the transformations of Romaine and Anna go through. Again, Anna's performance I thought was stellar. I think this was her first, or at least one of her first movies, and she did awesome. I mean, her performance alone deserves some kind of award. So 3.5 for the creepiness, their transformation and performance. Also, it has one really good jump scare in it that I thought was, all right, that was nice. And just the tones and overall direness of the characters made this a really good flick. It being one continuous shot, you're pretty much on edge the entire movie. This is actually one of the first movies in quite a while where I felt invested during the whole time. It's only an hour and 28 minutes, but I feel like there's always something happening. And that, of course, is always a good thing. And honestly, few and far in between. All right, that's it today, my peeps. Watch it. Tell me if you liked it as much as me. If you didn't, tell me why. If you think I missed any part or was reaching with that Night of the Living Dead reference in the last bit, let me know. Let me know why you agree, why you disagree. I'd love to hear your opinion on the matters. Overall, it's a good movie, and you all must see it. See it. It's on Shudder. Shudder is awesome. Call me. Email. Clickety click. Shudder. Oh, you only have like 500 subscribers. Well, you gotta start somewhere. Am I right, folks? Share, like, subscribe. Okay, see me next time, because I can't see you. Peace.
No, I don't wanna be Take this my life, chaos inside.